We all knew Brainiac was lying about the invaders, but holy hell. Every time Brainiac speaks, he presents a simple, straightforward idea. One that he states outright in the latest episode, that the strong rule and the weak serve. Thanagar, Euphorix, and many more were destroyed because they committed the sin of being weaker than their conquerors. Superman, by his very nature, stands in opposition to such an ideology. The most powerful man in the world, saving cats from trees and turning enemies into friends. Clark refuses to play by Brainiac's rules, refuses to believe that the world is kill or be killed, simply because that is how Krypton has always been. And his kindness reaches past the language barrier and touches the Coluan who was Brainiac, because Krypton was so much crueler than we gave it credit for. When refugees from beyond the stars sought shelter on a distant frozen world, they were slaughtered. But worse than that, their memories, their personalities, their very souls were copied and downloaded, so that even in death they could not escape their oppressors. Their, for a lack of a better term, humanity literally ripped away from them, reshaped into servants, slaves, zombies. For 10,000 years, they were forced to bestow Krypton's non-existent mercy on countless civilizations. This isn't the first incarnation of Krypton where their entire race was controlled by eugenics, but it is the first I know of where they purposefully turned their entire race into living weapons, altering their very nature as a species to better kill with. No wonder Brainiac grew mad when the machine of Empire met something it couldn't grind beneath its wheels. After 10,000 years of imperialism and genocide, now they wish for peace. Now that their children are dying. Now that their worlds are the ones being ground to dust and ash. Now that they are the weak ones. Poetic that Empire's first victim should bring about Empire's end. And tragic that after so long, Brainiac only knows how to continue the cycle of death and violence. Of course he was a cruel father to Kara. The Kryptonian Empire was cruel to all its children. Brainiac is a monster, but he's a monster of Krypton's own making. He's not even Coluan anymore, not because of his robot body, but because of his assimilated mind. His culture, his language, his people, all erased to better serve the myth of Krypton's founding. When the warriors of old drove off the alien invaders and used their own technology to spread Krypton's glory across the stars. Ancient Krypton took the Coluans and threshed them until all that remained was Kryptonian. Until even their memory kneeled before Empire. Something similar happened with the Pilgrims when they came to the so-called New World. When the USA was founded, they spun myths about how the first colonists were escaping religious persecution. This was a lie. They fled across the sea because even other Christians were disgusted by their cruelty. That is why the United States is so perverse. Even before its birth, the ground was sown with the promise of blood. Brainiac couldn't accept that his people were slaughtered for no reason, and so he swallowed the lie. The lie that said his people were meant to fall to Empire, that Empire is all there was, all there is, all there ever would be.
And where did that trajectory end? Where's your empire now?
But what do you think? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.